Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of TokYo-Yo. My name is T. Sorry about the change in venue again. Also, thanks for enjoying the TokYo-Yo talks. I've been getting a lot of good feedback on them. I've really been enjoying doing them. Got some big guests coming up, so stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoy. Also, just to let you guys know, I haven't been doing this for like a month. All the stuff I've been putting out has either been stuff that's non-video or stuff that I edited a long time ago. So this is the first time I've filmed in a long time, so it's gonna be rough. Let's get through this train wreck together. Now, on to today's review. Now, the yo-yo we're gonna be looking at today is one that I've put off for a couple reasons, but I'll get into it. It's time to do the review, so here we go. Today we're looking at the Duncan Wind Runner. Is this yo-yo gonna put wind in your sails, or is it just gonna send you running for another yo-yo? Alright, so let's talk about the Wind Runner. So, the shape, which I originally thought was a kind of H shape, has some elements of V to it. It slopes up quite sharply, but it's a very nice heavy rim-weighted yo-yo. The engravings are quite nice. You see this on some of Duncan's other throws as well. You see the Duncan logo, this very cool design on the outside, and then the Wind Runner at the bottom of the cup here. You've hollowed out area for finger spins, this recessed area here, and then a ring here, which some people have compared to a CLYW ring, but I don't have any metal CLYW, so I can't confirm or deny that. The material is a very, very nice 6061. It's quite satiny and smooth, very nice to the touch. The feel of the yo-yo is very nice. It's very comfortable. The shape is a bit sharp, but these corners are very nicely rounded off, so there's no problem there. It's not exactly what you'd call ergonomic, but it does fit in the hand quite well. And I think the look of this yo-yo is quite nice. You have the extra ring in here, then you have, as I mentioned, the very nice logo. But I also got this in the AP colorway, which I don't know if you can get any more. It was a little bit more expensive. I'm usually not a fan of like camo designs, but I think on this yo-yo it looks really nice. You got some green, brown, black in here. It's quite cool looking. So time to get into history of the Wind Runner. So I actually got this at Japan Nationals 2017. I saw it on the table. I'd actually saw it on Instagram before. It looked really, really interesting, and they mentioned it was going to be the world debut at Japan Nationals. So I decided to pick it up, and they had this neat colorway, so I decided to grab it in this color. They also had the Grasshopper X and the MKT there. Both were very interesting as well, but this one was very cheap. This was just over $40 US. It's always interesting, I think, to see the kind of budget metal price, but from big names like Duncan, so I was very interested to try it out. As far as I know, also, I don't think this has been released in the US just yet, or maybe not outside of Asia. I noticed that, of course, Rewind and Spin Gear are carrying it, but as far as I know, I asked someone on the Duncan team and they said that they're not out just yet, but probably very soon. I'm filming this at the time of Worlds 2017 in Iceland, where they're also selling the Wind Runner with some new colors, so it may be coming out soon, I'm not sure. But as of this recording, it's not yet available in the US, so stay tuned. It probably will be by the time this comes out. Or maybe it's coming out soon, I don't know. One last piece of history with the Wind Runner. This thing actually is very, very playable, but it has been dropped on the ground. It took a very, very savage hit. It's so dumb. I was just getting it out to take a picture for Instagram for like throw of the day or something, and I just dropped it on the ground. And unfortunately, it was spinning at the time, and it made one of those terrible dings, but it's worse than a ding. It's more like a pop. It hit the ground and went skidding across the concrete, and it's terrible. So that was a big reason that I've been a little hesitant to make the review. As for playability of the Wind Runner, this thing is pretty great, actually. It's very competition oriented with the kind of VH hybrid. It's got a lot of rim weight, so it spins for a long time. It's quite stable. You have this interesting little ring in here, which does make thumb grinds possible if you throw it a bit of a tilt. it has a very soft feel on the string. It doesn't feel like too heavy or too light or anything. In fact, on a throw it's quite soft, and when it lands on the string it's also quite soft. It feels like it's very easy to move. It's very, very playable with your string and tech tricks. It has a decently wide gap, so it is easy to get your string in for whips and slack tricks. Grinds on this thing are very, very nice. Of course, you guys know I love my grind tricks. It does fit your finger quite nicely into this gap here, and it spins for a long time because of this satiny smooth finish. Now let's get into finger spins. Actually, that's one of my problems with the Windrunner. You're gonna notice in here it has this very nice little recessed area for finger spins in the center, but it's surrounded by this graphic. There's these little shoes here with the wings on them. It's quite cute little graphic, and it says Windrunner and it's got Duncan. It's actually, I think, a very nice graphic as far as graphics go. Now here's the problem. This thing finger spins really well if you can land it right in there. If you land it around here, it's gonna skip around like crazy until you get it centered. Now I did a TokYo-Yo tip video before where I showed how to make it a little easier to get your finger spin to work on yo-yos that are a bit tricky by kind of pulling the string until you get the yo-yo centered. And that does work with this, but my problem with it is I don't think it needed that extra graphic there. The graphic could have gone on the outside, or maybe it could have gone on the rim. I'm not exactly sure why the decision was made to put it here, because what it does is it really interferes with finger spins. Especially when a lot of yo-yos these days are getting a little bit more designed, for example like the Yakare, to push your finger into the center, or at least to center your finger. It feels like a strange design choice that there's this very shallow area here, which is fine, that pushes your finger to the center. Then once you hit this graphic, it spins a lot, it rattles around, and it makes it very, very difficult to center. So that's just a personal problem I have with it. Now I was hoping with the next run, they released some pictures of one they're putting out at Worlds. I'm not sure if that's gonna be widely available. It's got this kind of black and blue galaxy look. That one still has the graphic as far as I can see, so I was hoping they were gonna release one without the graphic, but as it is, it's kind of tricky to land a finger spin unless you land it dead center. Now, as far as I talked about with the ding I made, this thing has a savage ding in it, but it actually still plays really well. Credit to Duncan for the durability in this thing. It's crazy durable. In fact, the only place where it vibes significantly is where the damage is. Otherwise, it's still pretty dang smooth. And lastly, before we get into pros and cons, the response on this thing is really great. It's got these red pads. They're extremely grippy without being too sticky. The bearing is very nice centering bearing. I've had no problems with it getting loud or anything like that, even after the ding. It's a quite reliable response and bearing wise. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into pros and cons of the Duncan Windrunner. First of all, this thing is priced extremely well. I think it's in the mid $30 range in the US, and a little more if you want like the special colorways. But for the price, this thing is really good. It plays extremely well in just about every way. So I think for the price, it's pretty incredible. It finger grinds extremely well, which you guys know I'm a fan of. It does do finger spins if you can land it in that little place carefully. The response is really, really, really good. It's super, super reliable, similar to how like my carp fin feels. Like it always comes back when it needs to and never when it shouldn't. And despite my problems with the finger spinning, I think the graphic is really, really cool. I think it really fits the aesthetic of the yo-yo, and I think it looks nice too. So, as I mentioned, I don't really think the graphic is in a great place if you're somebody like me who needs help with their finger spins. This graphic gets in the way, and it makes your finger skip around. That said, I do like the graphic. I like how it looks. I'm just not sure why it was put exactly there. So I'm not a yo-yo designer, so what do I know? But that's just my feeling on it. And as for other cons, I don't really have a lot of cons for the Duncan Windrunner. I think this thing is really, really solid, especially for the price. I don't play it as much as I should just because of the ding, and I'm afraid that this rim is gonna chew up the string a little bit. But besides that, I actually have been playing it a little bit more recently, and I've been really enjoying it. Our last section of the review here, who's the Duncan Windrunner for? I think the Windrunner is for somebody who'd like to get into some Duncan throws. Recently, they've been putting out a lot of really, really good stuff. You had the Grasshopper and the Barracuda, the new Barracuda last year, which were both really, really solid, both well loved by many people. This year, you've got the MKT, you've got the Grasshopper X, you've got the Windrunner, And I've also heard that there's some new stuff coming out of Duncan soon, so maybe after Worlds there'll be some new stuff coming out, who knows. But I have heard that it's going to be a really great year for Duncan, so I think if you don't have a Duncan throw like me and you wanted to get in and see what Duncan's like, how they're doing these days, then this would be a really great place to start. I know that almost everybody had a Duncan at some point, but I feel like the company's really serious about quality now, and this is no exception. For the price, it's really awesome. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the Duncan Windrunner review today. You should check it out if you get a chance. I'm not sure when it's coming out in the States, but it is pretty fun. Please don't drop it on the ground like I did. Please treat this yo-yo better than I did. Thanks for the likes, the comments, the subscriptions. Stay tuned for more reviews. We've got tutorials and tips coming up, as well as a bunch of TokYo-Yo talks. I've got, I think, 3 or 4 more in the pipeline, plus a bunch more that I'm going to be recording soon, so look forward to that. If you ever want to ask questions to the TokYo-Yo guests on TokYo-Yo Talk, please go over to my Instagram, TokYo-Yo Videos, and that's where I post pictures, and then on those pictures you're going to see the guest of the show, and you can post some questions for the guest in the comments. So that should be fun. Anyway guys, thanks so much for watching. Take care, have a nice day, and sayonara.